said it would take 10 years to bring about cultural change at NAB just before he's shown the door. Ken, my question is, do you think staff with ill intent would quickly begin behaving ethically in their clients' interests if they saw that a few of their straying colleagues were being jailed?
And we should make it clear that Peter, who asked that question, does have a long-standing complaint with the NAB. He's mounted a campaign against predatory lending, particularly by NAB. But Ken Henry, that question was about whether jailing bankers would send a stronger message.
It would certainly send a message. It would terrify a lot of people, and I don't know whether it would give people more confidence in the banking system.
You laughed at that. Why?
And I'll tell you why. Because look at what has happened. The banking system has been subject to, appropriately, by the way, intense scrutiny by a royal commission. I think the most expensive royal commission in Australia's history in terms of taxpayers' dollars spent. I think so. In addition, subject to extraordinary media scrutiny, all of which was entirely justified as far from my perspective. Then by the government providing additional resources to the judicial system and giving ASIC an additional $400 million to track down people who had been shown to be guilty of some offence. And now if all of that has led to nobody going to jail, then should we assume that what's really at issue here is not that bankers, well, look, some bankers may well have broken the law. They certainly acted, many of them, unethically. Question here is, I think, with respect to the question, whether people wouldn't trust the banking system more if bankers acted more ethically.
So a lot of people reacted when we said you were coming on this program tonight to talk about ethics, given your experience at the Royal Commission. Some time's passed now. Obviously, there was a big public reaction to your appearance at the Royal Commission. Has that experience changed what you think about ethics in public life?
Oh, yes, in one very important respect. We should be more open in talking about it. We should be, when we are challenged, we should be more open. And we should spend more time as leaders talking to the people for whom we are responsible about the importance of ethics. And we should not assume that when issues are brought to our attention, there's just a few rotten apples. We should not assume that everybody who works for us has a good sense of what is the right thing to do in the often challenging circumstances that confront them, where they have to make trade-offs. Rather, we should assume that they need support. And in particular, they need support in deciding what is right and what is wrong.
You've also got to understand too what ethics requires of us. And this is true of everybody, whether you're like me running an ethics centre or politicians or any of us here. It's not that it's about just complying with a set of rules and codes. The really dangerous thing that undermines ethics in any organisation or society are two things. Firstly, hypocrisy, where you say one thing and you do something else. And the cause of that, more often than not, is not that people wake up in the morning intending to be hypocrites, but you ask them, why did you do what you did? And they say almost without fail, but everybody was doing it. Or that's just the way it's done around here.
Yep.
What ethics is really about, it's that quiet, insistent voice that challenges the unthinking custom and practice. It'll be in Parliament, there'll be stuff done that no one can really explain. Oh, it's just the way we do it, and it has these intent, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. I just want to come back to you though, Ken, because I think you obviously have reflected a lot on what happened at the Banking Royal Commission. And I suppose we're all here to kind of take some lessons from the wisdom that you all bring to this panel. And I just want to know whether, when you saw the reaction, did you know straight away, I buggered that up? I was too defensive. I
Yeah,
did,
absolutely.
I did come
no
across
question, no
as
question.
sort of
No question.
disrespectful.
Well, I was surprised when people said I was disrespectful, but I accept it. Of course I accept it. I wasn't intending to be disrespectful. On reflection, I was intending to be defensive, and that is, of course, ridiculous. You know, I think I can rationalise it, but it's no excuse. My rationalisation is that I felt like I was in the dock. So maybe it's kind of understandable one in the dock might feel the need to defend oneself. But really that was not the occasion for the way that I handled the questions. I should have been much more open. I should have actually said what I believed, right? Which is that we've stuffed up a lot of things and we need to fix them.
And do you think leaders would be more ethical if they were more willing to do that more often?
Not only would leaders be more ethical, I think the organisations they run would be more ethical. Sure, I do.